Welcome to the POMcast with Steve Willis, your independent, unbiased, and unbought source for Ole Miss athletics. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Tuesday, November 24th, 2020. Thank you for joining us, the POMcast. Right here, I'm your host, Stephen Willis, on the Positively Ole Miss Network. And honestly, it's Egg Bowl week. The changes happened last night. The Arkansas game got moved, and Vanderbilt and Tennessee got moved, so Vandy can play Missouri. So that happened in the East last night. So there's no loss by Tennessee this weekend. They're not going to lose to Vandy. So there's that. No sign of trouble for the Egg Bowl. We are looking very closely to make sure nothing happens. Otis Reese should be back. I've been trying to figure this out, but is Otis Reese the first player to debut in the Egg Bowl? Because normally the Egg Bowl is the last game of the year, so you've debuted before then. I'm not saying anything special about the Egg Bowl, but is this the first player debut in the Egg Bowl? This final gift that 2020 could give us? That's an interesting question that we should probably look into. Also, to let you know, there will be no show Thursday and Friday. I'll be traveling to the Palatial Central Florida studios. We should be back up by the end of the Egg Bowl, so we should have a We've Got Notes on Saturday night. That's the plan anyway. But we will not have a show Thursday and Friday, and we will not have an Around the SEC this week just because of travel and the Thanksgiving holiday and all that stuff. So if you're going on Thanksgiving and you were counting on the show, I apologize. We're not just taking a break. We're actually, we're closing today on the Palatial Central Florida studios, and I'm driving down Thursday. Power should be cut on today. Water should show up sometime in the next couple of days. Internet is Saturday morning, which they better do that before college football starts. And, I'm also doing things like getting a fence set up to be built and doing the things that need to be done, flooring for all of the house. So that's what we're doing down there. So we have a lot of stuff on our plate, but the studio is in position to be built. I mean, once the flooring goes into the place and gets everything done, we're going to order the equipment. The lights and stuff are going to be moved in January when all of my stuff comes down. So we won't even be able to set anything up until the new year at all. So probably after the move, we'll order the equipment, we'll order the camera, and we'll work to make it right. But this will be unlike anything that has been done in the Ole Miss fan base. I mean, it's honestly a gift. Imagine having a news source that is so detached from money that you can trust the information that's given because there's nothing to gain. There is no ulterior motive. It's real because there's no logical way to understand that I'm lying. There's no post where if I make it, this will make money. If I don't make it, this will make money. Determining whether content gets covered. This is how the narrative is developed. It's based off of how they can make money. And I've told you before, they rely on either elation or anger. And at Ole Miss, far too often, that is anger. So it is their job to gin up the base and basically so that we'll subscribe to their content because we think it's true, when 9 times out of 10 it's not. They do things to upset you intentionally. And if you think about it, you'll see the examples right away. I mean, it just jumps off the screen. So, we'll have no ulterior motive. That's the reason. We'll never ask you for money. We'll never ask you to go to a second location. It's just what we're doing. We have the resources to be able to do this. We have the motivation to be able to do this. This has been a year-long process that started last March for us. And we're almost there. The only thing we have left to do after the house closes is getting my wife detached from my work's healthcare and on her own program. So that, whenever you have a job and everything, they get a hold on you, and it is so meaningful in more ways than just money. There's also health care and benefits that you have to consider. So you have to detach them so that your job is not because of them, that you're not going to do your job because of those benefits. So once that detachment happens, we are free to just break away. I'll leave my job and we'll start covering Ole Miss properly. I'm going to sell ads to keep the lights on, to keep the subscriptions that I'm paying for. But it's not going to be anything major. It's going to be like $50 a month. I mean, you can get an ad for $50 a month. That's pretty cool. My goal is to severely undercut the money establishment in journalism these days to where it's not worth it to peddle these false claims. That's my goal. But when we launch the palatial Central Florida studios and we get everything going show-wise, you'll see that it's going to be pretty fantastic. And unlike anything that has been done in really the Ole Miss area, not since the season or the coaches show or something with this production value been released. But it's because I have the resources to do it. Stephen Willis, POMcast. Stick around.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese.
We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
POMcast, Stephen Willis right here on Positively Ole Miss. Thanks for listening again. We actually had a little bit of technical difficulty during this segment, and we're having to re-record it. So hopefully I'll do better this time. But anyway, you can follow us at The Stephen Willis or at Ole Positively. Hit us up on Facebook and like us at facebook.com/POMcast. Or join our Facebook group at Positively Ole Miss. And of course, we're on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. You can hit the bell for notifications and know when we're streaming live. And we're on Twitch, Positively Ole Miss. All one word, all lowercase. You can catch our show there. Now, if you are a more of a audio person, you can hit us up on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. Those are the major ones we're on. We're also on minor ones, but if we were to name the minor ones, we would be here all day, and we don't want to do that. We will also not have a show Thursday and Friday, and we will not have an Around the SEC this week because we are closing and starting the moving process with the traveling to the palatial Central Florida studios. So, again, just to point out, we're doing this because we have the resources to it. We have the time to do it. It's going to be nice that I've felt for years that Ole Miss needed someone to cover it that is not bound by money and finance, isn't making decisions on what they're doing, because that leads to extremes, and you see the media environment that is going on now, and that's just because it's changed, because you've cut layers in between the finance part and the coverage part, and now the finance part is right there where they can influence the coverage part. And because media personnel that used to not be biased is biased as hell now. They want an action. They cover stories that lead people to that action. And then they treat that action like it is actually true. It's the narrative problem I've talked about. It's not real. I mean, we're going to sell ads, of course, but we're going to sell them for next to nothing, like $50 a month. I mean, our goal is to undercut the people using us, us meaning the fans, to peddle a message that is patently false. I mean, this has been going on for a while, but they just really took advantage of the probation to grow. That's why we're doing this, and that's why you can get unbiased and unbought coverage right here, and you can count on it to be true, because honestly, if you want to compare resumes, I've probably got the best resume of anybody covering Ole Miss. I mean, I've worked in the Manning Center for multiple years. I've worked for the national media for 10 years. I've worked at a local TV station in a top 50 market for 3 years. I mean, it's a pretty great resume. And I'm going to extend that expertise to you, because basically you see a problem and you try to fix the problem, and I have the resources, time, and motivation. I'm not making any money on this. I've already made my money to cover this correctly, to eliminate the horrible bias that has happened in media off of money. And I get that you need money to do stuff, but the fact that money is influencing coverage so much. And if you pay attention, it's true. It's all elation or anger. That's the only path they take. There's no middle ground when it's almost always in the middle. It's just sad. But anyway, it is Egg Bowl week. Tomorrow we'll do our What to Expect episode since we are not going to have a Friday show. So tune in for that. We kind of went over their offense yesterday. Will Rogers, Osiris Mitchell, those guys. The defense, believe it or not, has its roots in the old Joe Lee Dunn scheme. Isn't that fun? Joe Lee Dunn, who worked at Ole Miss for 4 or 5 years, then at Mississippi State for about 10, is back to being a major figure in this rivalry. Zach Arnett, the defensive coordinator, his mentor was Rocky Long, who learned his system from Joe Lee Dunn. So, let's break out the dusty Joe Lee Dunn How to Defeat playbook. Now, football has changed considerably since 2003. That's worth knowing. The stuff that you were doing that was working in the 90s probably will not work now because of RPOs and things like that. But the three-man front has become in vogue again because of the spread offenses, which was a Joe Lee Dunn scheme. He's also an amoeba person with defensive personnel moving around before the snap to try and confuse blockers. That's what they do. They want to be uber aggressive on the defensive end to force mistakes on the offensive end and hopefully make a lost yardage play or a turnover or something to at least get you off schedule. I mean, that's really the whole defense. They're going to play a lot of man, but they do a lot of zone as well. I think against Vandy, they were playing a good bit of zone. I have not watched every game this year. Now, as Mike Leach gets his team in gear, which he should in year 2 or year 3, I'll watch them a little bit more because I just enjoy the Mike Leach air raid. I enjoy that flavor of it. Even though there's not many plays and things like that. But I actually really enjoy that. Now, Mississippi State is really thin in the secondary. They're starting a true freshman at cornerback and a true sophomore at the other cornerback with a walk-on and another, I think 2 walk-ons, or maybe just one playing safety. So what does that tell you? Now, we've gone over defense and what the goal for defense is, and that is to start at 15 yards and compress down to 10 to the point where it looks like a whole lot of players are guarding a smaller place because the field can't be extended. Well, we both know that Lane Kiffin's offense, his whole goal is to defend width and length. So the whole thing has to be defended so space will be there. So that is the battle between those two. State wants us to play in small space. We want to play in big space. And the reason for that is their defenders, if you have all 11 in a 10-yard box by 52 1/3 wide, that's a lot of defenders in a 10-yard box. There's a lot of chances to make plays. You need to stretch that and make them respect 15 and 20 and 30 yards because those safeties, once they're doing that, will be slower to attack the run. If they just sell out on the run, then Elijah Moore and Jonathan Mingo and Braylon Sanders, Kenny Yeboah will be open all day. I mean, it'll be a feeding frenzy. But if State can compress that to where we run the ball and we dink and dunk and we're just playing in that area where they are, and that could be through lack of time, that could be through lack of execution. It doesn't matter how we get there. State wants us to play in that box. If you can take that 10-yard box and make it to 15, you're good. To 20, you're better. And just forcing the safeties to be a step or two slow in order to fill that box will be the difference in 21 points in this game. We've done that to every team we've played except for Arkansas. And that was because we forced the ball downfield. We didn't use our eyes. We have gotten better with that, but that's a real thing. But I just wanted to break it down for you. What is actually happening with the State defense versus our offense, because you're going to hear a lot of takes in coming weeks about personnel and talent. It's a cop-out. There's a way they defend. Stephen Willis POMcast. Last segment coming up. Stick around.
You want to answer that, don't you? I bet it's just killing you seeing the soft glow just inches away. Someone wants to tell you something or ask you something. Oh, come on, answer it already! Just so we're clear, that wasn't my fault. Next time, ignore your inner voice. Don't text and drive. A message from Florida's trusted choice independent insurance agents.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis. I just want you to stick around a little longer. We're going to get back to the podcast right after these messages.
Tonight, nearly 40,000 veterans across the country are homeless. These men and women have pledged to serve our nation, and now we must serve them. Landlords across the country have helped make significant progress in reducing veteran homelessness by making housing available, but there is more that we can do to bring our veterans home. Visit www.va.gov/homeless to see how you can get involved. And if you are a veteran and you are experiencing homelessness, please call 877-4AID-VET. Thank you.
All right, the POMcast, last segment of the day. Pretty excited, closing on my house today. The palatial Central Florida studios will be available very shortly. And I'm very excited about that. You know what I'm also excited about? Otis Reese being deemed eligible. He gets to play against Mississippi State, make his debut against Mississippi State. How many players have made their debut in the Egg Bowl? But I expect Otis Reese to play quite a good bit. And I expect him to play that hybrid position. Now, we told you in boot camp, the defense, that this defense that we run is designed to filter to two players. That's the Sam Williams player and the hybrid player, the Otis Reese player. I think it's the Otis Reese player. They might play him otherwise in the secondary to where he is in like Jonathan Haynes' position. I don't think so, but they might. But in the hybrid role, he's a very physical player. He's a former top 100 player on all services. Very physical player. He hits very hard and he loves contact. And that's the reason I believe he is going to play in that hybrid role against their offense. Now, what is probably going to happen this weekend is if they insert him in that hybrid role, you have him and you have Sam Williams available to blitz. One, but not both, will likely blitz 70% of the time. 25% of the time, they'll both will come. We'll send 5. Most of the time, we're going to drop 8. And it's going to be up to the defensive linemen of Ryder Anderson, Katie Hill, and Tarikas Tisdale. But that is going to be the key to this game. Those 5 players, now including Otis Reese, who we have been playing people that did not fit this role all year. So the defense will automatically get better by having its best player deemed eligible. Sorry about that. And Otis Reese has been called the best defensive player by the head coach. So I'm not making that up. I'm not going sight unseen. I'm not projecting. I'm going off the head coach. And basically, you can do a lot of things. You can, with Otis Reese, you do coverage, you do blitzing, you do the standard outside linebacker stuff. You can do some in-between hybrid safety stuff. It allows you to play your defense because you have a defensive back with coverage ability that likes contact like a linebacker playing the hybrid. He's Tony Connor. That's his comp. He's Tony Connor. And if we do this right, all of a sudden you'll see that the problems we have running off tackle wasn't necessarily a talent issue. Or it wasn't a scheme issue. It was a who's playing issue. Because we were forced to play Jalen Stanley and Dalen Gill in that position throughout the year. I think we're playing Tylen Knight a good bit now. So we have a 5'6", 180-pound guy playing that role currently. Now, he plays hard, and he's probably my favorite player on that defense. But, that's not what you want. But he's there because we need him, because he has to be there. Next year, we'll have Jacob Springer and Tysheem Johnson and the numerous defensive linemen. We're trying to recruit the linebacker from South Carolina. There's a chance the defense takes a major jump in 2021. And if Matt Corral comes back, the offense, it's all underclassmen. There's next to no seniors. I mean, we lose Kenny Yeboah and Royce Newman. But does anybody expect us not to replace those guys? To find people that fit? I mean, we found Yeboah. Eli Acker is going to play right tackle next year. So the offense has a chance to be just as good. We do lose Elijah Moore, but I'm not worried about that so much as that slot role. There's a certain player that is recruited and found, and Dennis Jackson can, I believe, play that role. He just is stuck behind Elijah Moore, who, why would you take him off the field currently? So that's the real of the Mississippi State defense. We talked about Otis Reese. Jacob Springer will be available next year as well. He was a former all-conference free safety. He'll probably play in the role that Jonathan Haynes is in now. I don't see him surpassing A.J. Finley. He's too good against the pass. Needs to get better against the run, though. All right. This has been the POMcast. I'll see you tomorrow.